The soft glow of the Hogwarts castle illuminated the night sky as the full moon bathed the grounds in silver light. Inside the towering stone walls, the castle buzzed with quiet life, students whispering in common rooms, the faint rustling of the house elves in the kitchens, and the distant echo of footsteps in the ancient corridors. The air was cool and crisp, filled with the scent of old parchment and faint traces of magical herbs from Professor Sprout's greenhouses. Nestled in the heart of the Gryffindor common room, Harry and Hermione sat by the glowing embers of the fireplace. The room was a haven of warmth and comfort, with its soft armchairs and the familiar sounds of the crackling fire. A few students lingered, sharing quiet conversations, while Crookshanks purred contentedly on Hermione's lap. Do you ever feel like Hogwarts still has so many secrets left to uncover? Hermione asked softly, her eyes fixed on the flickering flames. Harry nodded, a thoughtful expression crossing his face. It's strange, isn't it? We've been here for years, but it feels like we've only scratched the surface. Hermione leaned forward, her voice dropping to an excited whisper. There's one place I've always wondered about, the Chamber of Secrets. We know about the basilisk, but what else could Salazar Slytherin have hidden down there? Harry raised an eyebrow, intrigued. You're suggesting we go back? Not just for the sake of adventure, Hermione said, her tone serious yet curious. Think about it. What if there's something important? Something we missed? The firelight danced in their eyes as they exchanged a glance filled with mutual understanding. This was no reckless decision, but a shared desire to uncover the mysteries that Hogwarts still held close. Before long, the two friends found themselves poring over old books and maps, their voices low and steady as they planned their exploration. The night stretched on, filled with the quiet anticipation of the journey that lay ahead. The next morning, Harry and Hermione sat together at the Gryffindor table in the Great Hall, their breakfast plates laden with toast, eggs, and steaming mugs of pumpkin juice. The Great Hall was alive, with the gentle hum of morning chatter, enchanted snow falling softly from the enchanted ceiling above. The two friends spoke in hushed tones, their minds focused on the plan they had hatched the night before. I went through every book I could find in the restricted section, Hermione began, her voice barely audible over the clinking of cutlery. There are mentions of hidden vaults and lost artifacts tied to Salazar Slytherin. Most of it is conjecture, but there's enough to suggest we might find something more than just the remnants of the basilisk. Harry nodded thoughtfully. If Slytherin was as secretive as the stories claim, it makes sense there could be something else in the chamber, but how do we even get in? The entrance is in Moaning Myrtle's bathroom, right? Hermione's eyes sparkled with determination. Exactly, but it's not just about getting in, it's about being prepared. We'll need protective spells and enchanted equipment. This isn't something we can rush. As they spoke, Ron plopped down beside them, a large stack of sausages on his plate. What are you two whispering about? He asked through a mouthful of food. Harry and Hermione exchanged a knowing glance. Hermione smiled. Just revising for defense against the dark arts, she said lightly. Ron rolled his eyes. You two and your constant need to be prepared. Hermione smirked, returning her attention to her notes. Though Ron wasn't privy to their plan, his carefree demeanor provided a sense of normalcy that helped ground their excitement. As breakfast ended, Harry and Hermione lingered at the table, their conversation turning to practical details. "We'll need to wait until tonight when everyone's asleep," Harry said quietly. Hermione nodded. "I'll prepare everything we need. Meet me in the common room after curfew." The day passed in a blur of classes, the friends trying to focus while the weight of their impending adventure pressed on their minds. By the time the sun set, painting the castle in warm hues of orange and gold, Harry and Hermione felt ready. Back in the common room, Hermione laid out their supplies: enchanted lanterns, spellbooks, and a parchment filled with scribbled notes. "Are you sure about this?" Harry asked, his voice steady but laced with concern. Hermione met his gaze. "If there's even a chance we can uncover more about Hogwarts history, it's worth it." As the fireplace crackled softly behind them, the friends steeled themselves for the journey ahead. With wands in hand and determination in their hearts, they prepared to set out into the depths of Hogwarts, their bond of trust and curiosity guiding them forward. As the castle settled into a hushed quiet after curfew, Harry and Hermione slipped out of the Gryffindor common room. The fat lady's portrait groaned softly as she swung open to let them through, her sleepy protests falling on ears too focused to heed. The dimly lit corridors of Hogwarts stretched before them, their wand tips glowing faintly to light the way. Hermione carried an enchanted parchment in her hand, her notes detailing every known detail about the Chamber of Secrets. "It's not just the basilisk that makes the chamber intriguing," she whispered. "Slytherin's fascination with forbidden magic may have left traces, artifacts, spells, or even clues to his motives." The castle felt alive in the stillness of the night. Portraits murmured quietly, their painted inhabitants nodding off or keeping a watchful eye. The suits of armor lining the hallways gleamed faintly in the soft glow of their wands. "Let's hope Filch and Mrs. Norris aren't patrolling tonight," Harry muttered, his eyes scanning the shadows for movement. As they reached the second-floor corridor outside Moaning Myrtle's bathroom, a sudden chill filled the air. Hermione shivered, gripping her wand tighter. The door to the bathroom creaked open as if inviting them in. Inside, the faint sound of dripping water echoed against the cold stone walls. Myrtle appeared, her ghostly figure floating above one of the sinks. "Oh, it's you two again," she said in her usual melancholy tone. "What are you up to this time?" "We need to get into the chamber," Harry said softly, his voice calm but resolute. Myrtle's translucent face lit up with curiosity. "The Chamber of Secrets? You're going back down there? Oh, how exciting! Maybe this time you won't come back." She giggled, the sound echoing eerily. "Thanks for the encouragement," Harry said dryly, stepping forward to examine the sink. Hermione pointed to the tap adorned with a tiny snake engraving. "This is it," she said. "Do you remember the Parseltongue command?" Harry nodded, his brow furrowed in concentration. He leaned closer to the sink and hissed softly, "Open." The serpent engraving came to life, twisting and writhing as the sink slid aside to reveal the dark, gaping entrance to the Chamber of Secrets. A spiral of stone steps descended into the depths below, the air thick with an ancient, musty smell. "Here we go," Harry said, his voice steady. Hermione cast a Lumos Maximus spell, her wand emitting a brighter light to illuminate their descent. Together, they stepped into the opening, the stone steps spiraling downward. The silence was oppressive, broken only by the faint drip of water echoing in the distance. As they reached the chamber's entrance, the familiar sight of the serpent-encrusted doors greeted them. Harry once again spoke in Parseltongue, and the doors groaned open, revealing the vast, cavernous room within. The chamber felt different from Harry's last visit. The air was colder, the silence heavier. Hermione's wand light swept across the towering statues of serpents and the dark pool of water at the center of the room. "It's bigger than I imagined," Hermione murmured, her voice tinged with awe. Harry nodded, his gaze fixed on the far end of the chamber where the colossal statue of Salazar Slytherin loomed. Its shadowy form seemed to watch them, an air of foreboding emanating from its stony visage. As they ventured deeper into the chamber, Hermione's wand light fell upon a series of faint etchings on the walls. She stepped closer, her fingers tracing the markings. "These look like runes," she said, her voice hushed. "Ancient magical symbols. They could be instructions or warnings." Harry joined her, his eyes scanning the intricate carvings. "Can you decipher them?" "I can try," Hermione replied, pulling a small notebook from her bag. She began jotting down the symbols, her brow furrowed in concentration. As Hermione worked, Harry's attention was drawn to a faint sound, a soft whisper, barely audible. He turned, his wand light sweeping across the chamber. "Did you hear that?" he asked. "Hear what?" Hermione asked, not looking up from her notes. "A whisper," Harry said, his voice low. "It's coming from over there." He pointed toward a dark alcove near the base of Slytherin's statue. Hermione glanced up, her curiosity piqued. "Let's check it out." They approached the alcove cautiously, their wands raised. The whispering grew louder, though its source remained unseen. As they stepped closer, they noticed a small pedestal bathed in an eerie green glow. Upon it rested a weathered, leather-bound book, its cover adorned with intricate serpentine designs. Hermione gasped softly. "This must be it," she said. "The whispers could be a protective enchantment, designed to deter anyone who tries to take it." Harry reached out, his hand hovering over the book. "Should we take it?" Hermione hesitated, her mind racing. If it contains knowledge Slytherin wanted to hide, it could be dangerous, but it could also hold answers. Harry nodded, steeling himself. Carefully, he lifted the book from the pedestal. The whispering ceased, replaced by an oppressive silence. Suddenly, the ground beneath them trembled. Dust fell from the ceiling as the chamber seemed to awaken, its ancient magic stirred by their actions. "Harry, we need to go," Hermione said urgently. They turned and hurried toward the chamber's entrance, the tremors growing stronger. As they reached the serpent-encrusted doors, they glanced back at the room behind them. The statues of serpents seemed to move, their stony eyes glowing faintly. "Let's not stick around to see what happens next," Harry said, his voice tight. They ascended the spiral stairs, their hearts pounding. When they emerged into Moaning Myrtle's bathroom, the familiar sounds of Hogwarts greeted them, a stark contrast to the eerie silence of the chamber. Hermione clutched the book tightly, her mind already racing with questions. "We have to study this," she said, her voice filled with determination. Harry nodded, his gaze steady. "We will. But first, let's catch our breath." Together, they left the bathroom, their footsteps echoing softly in the corridor. Though the adventure had only just begun, they felt a sense of accomplishment, a reminder of the strength they found in each other. Progression with gentle suspense, 1,000 words. As Harry and Hermione sat by the flickering light of the Gryffindor common room fire, the weathered book lay open between them. Its brittle pages whispered faintly as Hermione carefully turned them, her wand light illuminating the ancient runes and serpentine illustrations scrawled across its surface. The atmosphere was thick with quiet anticipation, the kind that only the promise of unraveling a centuries-old mystery could create. "This isn't just any book," Hermione murmured, her eyes darting over the delicate script. "It's written in Parseltongue, and some of the symbols are unlike anything I've seen in Hogwarts' library." Harry leaned closer, his voice low and curious. "Can you translate any of it?" "Only bits and pieces," Hermione admitted, "but there's a recurring phrase, the Keeper of the Vault. It sounds like it's referring to a guardian or a protective enchantment." Harry's brow furrowed. "Do you think it's connected to Slytherin's magic? Maybe there's more to the chamber than we thought." Hermione nodded thoughtfully. "That's what we need to find out. But if this book is right, accessing the rest of the chamber's secrets won't be easy." As they spoke, the room's warmth began to shift. A faint, cool breeze curled around them, carrying with it the faintest trace of an otherworldly whisper. Harry glanced at Hermione, his wand already raised. "Did you hear that?" Before she could respond, the pages of the book began to glow faintly, a soft green light radiating from the runes. Hermione's hand hovered over the parchment, her voice steady but tense. "It's reacting to something. Maybe it wants us to follow its lead." The light from the book pulsed softly, growing brighter as they stared. Then, as if guided by an unseen force, the green glow spilled from the pages, forming an ethereal path that led toward the portrait hole. "This is either an invitation or a trap," Harry said cautiously, standing up and gripping his wand. Hermione stood as well, the book held protectively in her arms. "We won't know unless we follow it." The two slipped out of the common room, the faint glow guiding their steps through the quiet corridors of Hogwarts. The castle was eerily still, the usual warmth of its torches replaced by an unfamiliar chill. Portraits along the walls whispered among themselves, their painted faces watching curiously as Harry and Hermione passed. "Where do you think it's leading us?" Harry asked, his voice barely above a whisper. "Somewhere tied to the chamber," Hermione replied, "but it's strange. The castle itself feels different tonight, almost alive." The glowing path wound its way down a narrow, spiraling staircase, leading them deeper into the castle's forgotten passageways. The stone walls were damp with condensation, and the sound of dripping water echoed faintly around them. As they descended, The air grew colder, each step drawing them further from the familiar warmth of the upper floors. At last, the path ended before a heavy wooden door, its surface carved with intricate serpentine patterns. Hermione ran her fingers over the carvings, her expression both cautious and fascinated. "This must be it," she said, "another entrance tied to the chamber." Harry stepped forward, speaking softly in Parseltongue. The patterns on the door shifted and writhed as if alive, and with a low groan, the door swung open, revealing a dimly lit room beyond. The room was circular, its walls lined with shelves containing ancient tomes and artifacts. In the center stood a pedestal, atop which rested a shimmering crystal orb. The greenish light emanating from the orb bathed the room in an otherworldly glow. Hermione's breath caught. This must be what the book was leading us to. Harry approached the orb cautiously, his wand at the ready. "Do you think it's dangerous? It's magical, that's certain," Hermione replied, her eyes scanning the room for any signs of enchantments or traps. "But I can't tell what kind of magic." As Harry reached out toward the orb, the whispers that had accompanied them earlier returned, growing louder and more distinct. They spoke in Parseltongue, their tone urgent yet calm, as if warning rather than threatening. "It's saying, 'Seek the Keeper,'" Harry translated, his hand hovering over the orb. "The same phrase from the book." Hermione frowned, her mind racing. The Keeper might be a guardian of sorts, someone, or something, meant to test those who find this place. Harry hesitated for a moment, then touched the orb. Instantly, a wave of green light filled the room, and the whispers grew louder, surrounding them completely. The light coalesced into a figure, a translucent, serpentine form with glowing eyes that seemed to pierce through them. "I am the Keeper," the figure hissed in Parseltongue. "Why have you come?" Harry took a step forward, his voice steady. "We seek the truth about Slytherin's magic and the Chamber of Secrets." The Keeper's gaze shifted to Hermione, its tone unreadable. "And you? What do you seek?" "I seek knowledge," Hermione replied firmly, "to understand the past and ensure it doesn't bring harm to others." The Keeper regarded them for a long moment before speaking again. "Your intentions are noble, but to proceed, you must prove yourselves worthy. Answer this. What does it mean to wield power without corruption?" Harry and Hermione exchanged a glance, the weight of the question pressing upon them. After a moment, Hermione spoke. "To wield power without corruption is to use it for the greater good, without selfishness or malice. It's about responsibility and understanding the consequences of one's actions." The Keeper seemed to consider her words, then slowly nodded. "You may proceed, but be warned, Slytherin's secrets are not for the faint of heart." The light of the Keeper dimmed, and the whispers faded as the orb ceased its glow. A hidden door creaked open in the wall behind the pedestal, revealing another passageway. Harry turned to Hermione, his expression determined. "Shall we?" Hermione smiled faintly, her resolve matching his. "Let's see where this leads." Together, they stepped into the passageway, their path illuminated by the faint green glow that seemed to guide them deeper into the heart of Slytherin's legacy. The answers they sought lay ahead, waiting to be uncovered. Harry and Hermione cautiously entered the new passage, their wands casting soft light onto the damp stone walls. The air was heavy, imbued with an ancient, almost tangible magic that seemed to hum just beyond hearing. Hermione carried the book carefully, her brow furrowed as she scanned its pages for any hints about the journey ahead. "Does the book say anything about this place?" Harry asked, his voice echoing softly in the confined space. "It mentions trials," Hermione replied, her tone thoughtful. "Slytherin's enchantments weren't just meant to hide his secrets, they were designed to test the character of those who sought them." Harry nodded, gripping his wand tighter. "Then we'd better be ready." The passage widened into a small chamber, its walls lined with shimmering emerald tiles that reflected the light of their wands. At its center stood 3 pedestals, each holding an object: a silver dagger, a small vial of glowing green liquid, and an ornate key etched with serpentine designs. Inscribed on the floor before them was a riddle: 3 paths, 3 choices, 1 true, 1 false, 1 forbidden. Choose wisely to proceed. Hermione knelt, studying the objects carefully. "It's a test of intellect," she murmured. "Each object represents a path forward, but only one will lead us closer to the truth." Harry frowned, pointing at the vial. "That looks like a potion. Maybe it's a clue." Hermione nodded, though her gaze lingered on the key. The key might open a door further ahead, but the dagger, it could symbolize danger. As they deliberated, the chamber began to shift subtly, the tiles beneath their feet rippling like water. A faint whisper filled the air, urging them to choose. "We don't have much time," Harry said, his voice tense. Hermione held up the book, her finger tracing the edges of a faded symbol that matched the engraving on the key. "It's this one," she said with quiet certainty. "The key represents access, knowledge." Without hesitation, Harry reached for the key. As his fingers closed around it, the whispers ceased, and the room fell still. A low rumble echoed through the chamber as a hidden door slid open, revealing a new path. "Well done," Hermione said, relief in her voice. "We passed the first test." The passage ahead was darker, its walls adorned with runes that glowed faintly in their wake. The air felt heavier, as if the magic in this part of the chamber had grown stronger. Harry and Hermione exchanged a glance, their determination unshaken as they moved forward. The second chamber was vast, its ceiling lost in shadows. A shallow pool of water covered the floor, and in its center stood a tall statue of Salazar Slytherin, his stern visage carved from dark stone. At the base of the statue, a series of circular glyphs pulsed with green light. Hermione studied the glyphs, her expression thoughtful. "This must be the next challenge," she said. "The glyphs form a sequence, but some of them are faded." Harry crouched beside her, his wand illuminating the intricate patterns. "Do you think we have to restore the sequence?" Hermione nodded. "But it won't be as simple as matching them. Slytherin valued cunning and wit. There's likely a trick to it." As Hermione deciphered the glyphs, Harry's attention was drawn to the water. Something beneath the surface moved, faint ripples spreading outward. "Hermione," he said softly, pointing at the pool, "we're not alone." She glanced up, her wand light revealing a faint shape slithering beneath the water. It's guarding the glyphs, she realized. We need to complete the sequence before it intervenes. Working quickly, Hermione adjusted the glyphs, her fingers moving deftly over the smooth stone. Harry stood guard, his wand aimed at the water as the creature's form became clearer, a serpentine guardian, its emerald scales gleaming faintly. Almost there, Hermione said, her voice steady despite the tension in the air. The creature rose slightly, its head breaching the surface as it hissed softly. Harry met its gaze, speaking calmly in Parseltongue. We mean no harm. We're only here to uncover the truth. The guardian hesitated, its movements slowing as if considering his words. At that moment, Hermione pressed the final glyph into place. The sequence glowed brightly, and the statue's base shifted, revealing another passageway. The guardian sank back into the water, its presence retreating as the glow from the glyphs faded. Hermione stood, brushing her hands against her robes. Let's keep going, she said, her voice resolute. Harry nodded, his admiration for her unwavering composure evident. Together, they stepped through the newly revealed passage, their journey deeper into the Chamber of Secrets, far from over. Harry and Hermione emerged from the final passage, the atmosphere shifting from the tense magic of the chamber to a calmer, almost serene environment. The air was lighter here, carrying the faint scent of damp stone and earth mingled with something sweet, like blooming flowers. Before them stretched a quiet, dimly lit hall with a gently flowing stream cutting through its center. Small, luminescent orbs floated above the stream, casting a soft glow that illuminated their path. Hermione exhaled deeply, her shoulders relaxing. This feels different, she said, her voice carrying a note of relief. Yeah, Harry agreed, his wand lowering slightly. It's like the chamber itself is letting us rest. The two walked slowly along the edge of the stream, the tension of their earlier challenges easing with every step. The hall seemed to hum with a soothing magic, its walls etched with delicate carvings of serpents intertwined with blooming vines. These carvings, Harry realized, told a story, a depiction of Salazar Slytherin's life, from his creation of the chamber to his parting words with the other founders. Look, Hermione said, pointing to a section of the carvings. It's him with the other founders. They don't look like enemies here. Harry studied the carvings, noting the harmonious expressions on the founders' faces. Maybe he wasn't always the way history remembers him, he said. This place, it's almost like it was meant to show the truth. As they continued, the stream widened, forming a small pool at the far end of the hall. In the center of the pool stood a pedestal, and atop it lay a single, unassuming object, a wand made of deep, dark wood. Its surface gleamed faintly, as though it held a secret waiting to be uncovered. Hermione's eyes widened. Could that be? Harry nodded. A relic of Salazar Slytherin. They approached the pool cautiously, their footsteps soft on the smooth stone. The pedestal seemed to radiate calm, its presence quiet, yet powerful. Hermione examined it closely, her gaze flickering to the runes etched along its base. This isn't just a wand, she said softly. It's a record of his magic, a way to pass on his knowledge to those who are worthy. Harry hesitated, glancing at Hermione. Should we take it? Hermione smiled faintly. I think we've already proven ourselves, Harry. The chamber wouldn't have let us come this far otherwise. With a steady hand, Harry reached for the wand. As his fingers brushed against the smooth wood, a soft glow enveloped the room. The carvings along the walls seemed to shimmer, the vines blooming with tiny, glowing flowers. A gentle hum filled the air, resonating with a peaceful energy that seemed to wrap around them like a warm embrace. It's beautiful, Hermione murmured, her voice filled with awe. Harry held the wand carefully, feeling its weight and the faint pulse of magic within it. It's not just a relic, he said. It's like it's waiting for someone to carry on what he started. Hermione nodded, her gaze thoughtful. Not in the way history paints him, she said, but as someone who believed in the potential of magic, its power to protect and create. The glow around them began to fade, the magic of the moment settling into a quiet stillness. The hall felt different now, less like a test and more like a sanctuary. Harry and Hermione exchanged a look, a shared understanding passing between them. Let's go back, Hermione said. There's nothing more to prove. As they retraced their steps, the lightness of the hall followed them, the earlier weight of the chamber's magic left behind. When they finally emerged back into the corridors of Hogwarts, the castle felt welcoming, its familiar warmth a balm after their journey. The two paused at the entrance to the chamber, the stone door sealing itself with a quiet finality. We'll keep this between us, Harry said, his tone resolute. For now. Hermione nodded. It's not about keeping secrets. It's about respecting what we've learned. As they walked back toward the common room, the glow of the castle's torches guiding their way, a sense of calm settled over them. The trials they'd faced were behind them, and though the relic of Slytherin remained a mystery, it no longer felt ominous. Instead, it was a reminder of the balance between power and wisdom, a legacy not to fear, but to honor. When they reached the common room, Harry placed the wand carefully in his trunk, its presence a quiet reminder of the journey they'd shared. Hermione smiled at him before settling into one of the chairs near the fire, the crackling warmth a stark contrast to the chamber's cold. You did well, Harry, she said, her voice soft. So did you, he replied, his tone equally gentle. And as the firelight danced across their faces, the castle around them seemed to sigh with contentment, its secrets once again safely held in its ancient walls. The fire in the common room flickered softly as Harry and Hermione sat in silence, the echoes of their journey through the Chamber of Secrets still fresh in their minds. The warmth of the Gryffindor common room, with its cozy armchairs and crackling hearth, offered a stark contrast to the cold, mysterious depths they had just explored. Hermione sipped from a steaming cup of tea, her expression thoughtful. Do you think the castle wanted us to find it? She asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Harry glanced at her, his green eyes reflecting the golden glow of the fire. Maybe, he said, or maybe it just trusted us to understand its secrets. The weight of the wand they had discovered, the relic of Salazar Slytherin, rested in Harry's trunk, its power quiet and unassuming. Hermione had carefully documented the runes and inscriptions they'd found, ensuring that the knowledge would be preserved responsibly. Whatever his intentions were, Hermione continued, I think Slytherin believed in magic's potential to protect. It wasn't just about power, it was about balance. Harry nodded, the words resonating with him. Maybe the castle knows more about us than we realize, he said, a small smile tugging at his lips. Outside, the snow fell gently, blanketing the castle grounds in a soft, glistening white. The faint sound of the wind against the tall, ancient windows of Hogwarts added to the peaceful ambiance, as though the castle itself was sighing in contentment. I suppose that's why we love this place, Hermione said, her voice warm. It's not just a school, it's alive. It trusts us, guides us. Harry leaned back, letting the comfort of the armchair cradle him, and maybe that's why it always feels like home, he said. The two friends had fell into a companionable silence, the fire casting gentle shadows on the stone walls. The magical relic, the runes, and the chamber itself now felt like pieces of a larger story, a story that connected them not only to Hogwarts, but to its very essence. As sleep began to take them, the castle seemed to hum softly, as if singing them a lullaby of ancient magic and timeless secrets. The journey was over, but the bond they shared with Hogwarts was everlasting, a reminder that its mysteries were not meant to be feared, but cherished. And with that thought, they drifted into a peaceful, dreamlike state, the castle's warmth wrapping around them like a gentle embrace. The fire in the common room flickered softly as Harry and Hermione sat in silence, the echoes of their journey through the Chamber of Secrets still fresh in their minds. The warmth of the Gryffindor common room, with its cozy armchairs and crackling hearth, offered a stark contrast to the cold, mysterious depths they had just explored. Hermione sipped from a steaming cup of tea, her expression thoughtful. Do you think the castle wanted us to find it? She asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Harry glanced at her, his green eyes reflecting the golden glow of the fire. Maybe, he said, or maybe it just trusted us to understand its secrets. The weight of the wand they had discovered, the relic of Salazar Slytherin, rested in Harry's trunk, its power quiet and unassuming. Hermione had carefully documented the runes and inscriptions they'd found, ensuring that the knowledge would be preserved responsibly. Whatever his intentions were, Hermione continued, I think Slytherin believed in magic's potential to protect. It wasn't just about power, it was about balance. Harry nodded, the words resonating with him. Maybe the castle knows more about us than we realize, he said, a small smile tugging at his lips. Outside, the snow fell gently, blanketing the castle grounds in a soft, glistening white. The faint sound of the wind against the tall, ancient windows of Hogwarts added to the peaceful ambiance, as though the castle itself was sighing in contentment. I suppose that's why we love this place, Hermione said, her voice warm. It's not just a school, it's alive. It trusts us, guides us. Harry leaned back, letting the comfort of the armchair cradle him, and maybe that's why it always feels like home, he said. The two friends had fell into a companionable silence, the fire casting gentle shadows on the stone walls. The magical relic, The runes and the chamber itself now felt like pieces of a larger story, a story that connected them not only to Hogwarts, but to its very essence. As sleep began to take them, the castle seemed to hum softly, as if singing them a lullaby of ancient magic and timeless secrets. The journey was over, but the bond they shared with Hogwarts was everlasting, a reminder that its mysteries were not meant to be feared, but cherished. And with that thought, they drifted into a peaceful, dreamlike state, the castle's warmth wrapping around them like a gentle embrace.